Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to your Wednesday version of the C.L. Bryant Show. I am C.L. Bryant, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being there with me throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, and that is America. I want to thank particularly our friends in southern Arkansas, East Texas, and in the great state of North Carolina. Well, coming up in the show, here in the next block, we're going to have Sheriff Julian Willington over in Bossier City. The High Sheriff of Bossier is going to be on with us as we continue our salute to our men and women in uniform, particularly our law enforcement here in Law Enforcement Police Week in America. Yesterday we had the High Sheriff of Caddo Parish, and we will be talking to our good friend Rodney Arbuckle, my friend down in DeSoto Parish, here hopefully on tomorrow evening. Now, I want to say this. Also coming up will be Lonnie Poindexter. Now, he's a lion chaser. Lion chaser. You're going to stay tuned to find out what that is about. And then a little bit later on, a bill has been passed down in Baton Rouge. State Representative Valerie Hodges has been successful. She's coming up in the 6:40 hour and successful in passing a bill. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to stay tuned to find out. Of course, I know that you will. And I certainly do appreciate you being there. But it is something I do believe is about time that this type of thing has been passed. And I certainly want you to be engaged in this political process, seeing how it is. You are the body politic. Now, speaking of the body politic and what's going on in this nation right now, two names are indelibly linked together, at least for the next 3-4 weeks. Then it may begin to die down a little bit. It's going to be there, but it's going to die down a little bit. And that's Donald Trump and James Comey, former FBI director, and of course the President of the United States, and he will be the President of the United States. Tell the folks on Wall Street to get a grip on it. There will be no impeachment of the President of the United States. Do you know why? There is no there. There is no is. There's nothing there. You know, the one thing that has not been leaked, I tweeted this out today. By the way, follow me at Rev CL Bryant, at Rev CL Bryant. The one thing that hasn't been leaked out in all of this, you know what it isn't? You know what hasn't been leaked out in all of this? Everything else has been leaked out to everybody that you can possibly name, but there's one thing that has not been leaked out in all this time, and that is evidence that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, has done anything wrong. That's the one thing that has not been leaked out. Conversations that he had with the FBI director. Oh, my. Somehow, mysteriously, that's leaked out. Somehow this thing that he said about the Russian, the information that the Russians got, somehow that leaked out of an Oval Office meeting. But there's one thing that is not leaked out in all this time, and that is any evidence whatsoever that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, DJT, has done anything wrong. Wow, I wonder how come that hadn't leaked out. Comey's in the worst shape, though, of all of them. Let me tell you why Comey's in the worst. He's in a bad situation. The former FBI and the Democrats are in a bad situation because they're way overplaying their hands. Way overplaying their hand. Comey's in a bad situation because now, and I believe the president has all the cards in this, and I think he's just cagey enough, smart enough, foxy enough to play him like he's playing him. Let me tell you why Comey's in a bad situation. If Comey felt at the time that he was FBI director of the FBI, that the president was trying to obstruct justice. And at the time, he was the new president of the United States, because this was back in February. Then it was his duty to go promptly and report to ethics officers and even the ethics committee that the president improperly approached him about obstructing justice. Let's see, that was February, March, April, here we are in May, nearly 3 months ago. It was his duty to go and report that then. Not let it leak out now. Oh, no, not let a memo leak out now. A memo, by the way, nobody's seen. Yeah. That's one reason why he's in trouble. Now, the second, the double-edged sword on this, though, is if he says it was uncomfortable conversation, and that's all it was, just uncomfortable conversation, then basically that clears the president of anything that anybody could say about him anyway. But it would muddy Comey's image as a person crying sour grapes over the person who fired him from his job, which I really think this is boiling down to that anyway. As a pastor, which I had been over 35 years before I started talking to you, as a pastor, let me tell you something. How many times, and pastors, if I have any pastors, attorneys, friends of friends, fathers, mothers, sisters, and brothers, whoever you are out there, how many times have you don't have to be a pastor to have said these words to someone on behalf of someone else who's gotten in trouble? How many times have you said these words to an officer or a judge? I hope you can help my friend. They're a good person. I hope you can help them. Make this go away. That's not a bribe. That's a request. That's all Trump did. Back in a minute. CL back with you on this Wednesday here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier City. I am your native son, and very glad that you are along with me. Before we bring on the High Sheriff of Bossier Parish, Julian Whittington, I want to give you some breaking news. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein has appointed former FBI Director Robert Mueller to serve as special counsel to oversee the previously confirmed investigation of Russian efforts to influence the 2016 presidential election and matters related. Actually, that's good, because this is what the Democrats had been howling for. Let them get them. Let them have what they want, so that the things that have not been leaked, like evidence of the president doing anything wrong, can be confirmed by, just to use a word, a third party. Now, the highest office in the land as far as law enforcement is concerned is the Department of Justice, and this is confirmed that the Department of Justice has now appointed that special counsel. The highest law enforcement officer in Bossier Parish, I have him on the phone. His name is Julian Whittington, and I want to thank him for being there back with me. He's been on before as a friend of the show, friend of mine. Sheriff, thank you so much for being there. How are you?
It's my pleasure, CL. I'm doing excellent. And before we get going, I just want to thank you for bringing attention to law enforcement and Police Officer Memorial Week, because a lot of times we hear about the tragic incident on the 5 o'clock news, and then we hear about the suspect and all that years and years and years, but the victim, the officer, and his family, you never hear about them again. And so I appreciate you, bringing this to the forefront.
Thank you, Sheriff, for that. And for those of you who don't know Sheriff Julian Whittington, he is a man of incredible caliber, integrity, and he is unashamedly, and this is what I love most about him, he is unashamedly a Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ. Sheriff, one of the things that I really spoke with your good buddy yesterday, Sheriff Prater, on the line. I'm going to have your other.
Really?
Oh
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I'm going to have your other buddy, Sheriff Arbuckle, on with me, hopefully tomorrow, and
Okay.
tomorrow evening. But I want to talk about, are we, as citizens, of course, in Bossier Parish is one of the fastest growing communities in the entire state. How are we looking as far as law and order, the crime rate, and so forth in your parish? We talked about Caddo yesterday. Let's talk about Bossier.
Right. Bossier's unique. I guess I should say and will say it's not by accident. A lot of people work very hard every day to ensure its safety, and I just go back to the trust of the people that we work for. You just look around the country. You don't have to go very far and just see where the law enforcement agency doesn't have the trust and the respect of the community, and it falls apart, it breaks down. You've got to have that in order to make it effective, and that's just the reason I'm so, I guess, sensitive. And we've had lies told and attempted to be spread about us on things that did not happen, and it just infuriated me, and we got to the bottom of it and got it corrected, because we know without that trust we can't do our job.
Is there something that has changed over the time that you have been in law enforcement up until this present time that you did not have to deal with, let's say, 25 years ago? Is there something that has changed that you can identify? And perhaps when did you notice that it was changing, Sheriff?
Well, I think it's been a slow process. And unfortunately, we end up dealing with it in law enforcement simply by default. That the breakdown of the family and no unity, no respect for anything or anybody. They don't succeed in school or in life, no skills, get involved in drugs and crimes and other things, and then finally they meet us, and we're expected to be the cure-all, the end-all, have all the answers, and do it perfectly every time. And so just the expectations, I think, of law enforcement, the things that have just by default have landed in our laps is really changed over the last 25 years.
And so when we talk about law and order, Sheriff, when you say that there, and anybody who knows me knows that I am a law and order guy. I mean, I'm pro cop. I mean, full disclosure as far as pro police, full disclosure. But when we talk about law and order, when Sheriff Julian Whittington says that, what is he saying?
It all starts with respect for yourself first. I've often cite, if you don't have any self-respect, to suddenly, somehow amazingly expect you to start respecting your teachers and the law enforcement and other people around you, simply not going to happen. I don't value my life. I don't value myself at all. I have no self-esteem, no self-respect. It's downhill from there. There's no, how do you expect someone to fit in and do productive things when they approach the world with that, that outlook?
Are you seeing more kids? What's the relationship that Bossier Parish Sheriff Department has with the educational system and the school kids? Because I'm seeing more of what you're describing in children who are younger, and I'm talking about all ages, all races, all kids. There's something missing as far as what you have just said, as respect for authority. What type of engagement do you have with the school system?
Well, we have several programs, but you're exactly right. It's not unique or limited to any part of town or any particular school or any segment of society. It's spread throughout. We're very proud of our SRO School Resource Officer program here in Bossier. We're the trained deputies in every single public school in the parish. And we're having DARE graduations this week, and I commented today after one that, while we're talking about, we've primarily been focused on the troublemakers here in the last few minutes, that we have to keep in mind and remember that, 98% of our young people are, smart, just good kids and want to do right and study hard. Sure, they make mistakes, but, they have a good heart and are good people. And so we sometimes, and I'm as guilty as anybody, want to condemn everybody for the actions of a few, and we know that, the majority of kids are good kids. So, but it's not unique. It's widespread. Certainly, if you have the answers, I'm all ears on how to go about it. But it in my view, just all starts or stops with the home, with the family. Kids, the ones that end up in trouble, with no leader, no one to respect, no one to look up to, no guidance
in that home.
They just in the home, and then they're going to get attention, seek attention from somebody somewhere, and there's somebody out there to give it to them. It's not always in the right direction.
Sheriff, stay with me. We're going to be back with Sheriff Julian Whittington of Bossier Parish in just a moment. You're listening, C.L. Bryant Show. I'll be back.
train a-comin'. It's rolling around.
Yeah, that's one song you don't want to be singing. None of you out there, you want to sing that Folsom, you want to sing that Caddo Parish, Bossier Parish blues. I'm telling you that much. You don't want to do that. On the line with me is our good friend, Sheriff Julian Whittington, the High Sheriff of Bossier Parish, right here in the Jewel Cities of Shreveport and Bossier Parish. And thank you again, Sheriff, for being on with me. Folks, this is the Memorial Week, Police Memorial Week throughout the nation, and I think it's a fantastic month to do it here leading up to Memorial Day. But the one thing that we don't want to hear ever is that another one of our people who secure that thin blue line has fallen. Sheriff, speaking of that, yesterday I spoke with Sheriff Prater about recruitment, and he was saying that sometimes because of the attitude toward law enforcement today, we have a difficulty in recruiting. Are you finding that in Bossier Parish as well?
No, CL, I have not. In fact, we certainly haven't lost anyone for that reason. We've had people leave for better opportunities and other, things that come up, but not for that reason. And as far as hiring goes, it seems to be as good as ever. I can only speak for my agency, but
yeah,
I don't know, folks in this business, we're just kind of we don't run, and in fact, the more someone tells us we can't do it or we need to fold our tent and run, the more determined we are to stay and to show that we can do it and we are going to do it. So, no, I haven't seen that in Bossier. I have not.
Great. And, folks, that's exactly what you want to hear from the sheriff, that they're not folding their tents, they are not running, because, folks, if you are absolutely honest about it, you get in trouble today, tomorrow. I'm talking about your car breakdown or somebody breaking into your house. Who you calling? If the shooting breaks out right now, somewhere, you're running away, they're running too. That's the fact of the matter. Sheriff, when you're speaking about folding the tent, sometimes I've seen sheriff departments, police departments have to cut back because of funding. How's funding for the programs that you want to institute at this point in time?
Right. Well, it's no secret. Revenue, I think, probably across the nation is a little bit down as far as, revenue, taxes primarily is off a little bit. But, we've had to tighten our belt a bit, but we're still going to provide the services for the people. We're solid. We have a lot of volunteers. Everyone knows our posse that assists with non-essential escorts and things. It frees up officers to, do law enforcement functions, and so we're managing. We're doing good.
That is great. And then the final question that I have for you tonight, I sometimes see the plight of police in cities like Chicago and cities like Los Angeles and Baltimore and places like that, where they run into gang violence. I never hear about that type thing in Bossier City. That's sort of a non sequitur. Is that a non-entity over there? Bossier seems to be, and God bless you, because really it's a great community. But you don't have that type difficulty there, do you?
No, we do not. But it's not just by chance or luck. We work very, very hard through a lot of different avenues to ensure that they never, get a toehold and don't ever get started. And people violate the law. We have rooms in our jail and a room in the jail, and we make arrests and don't let it get started. Some of these cities you just cited is so out of control. Frankly, I don't know if they can get it back under control or not. Really, that's sad to say, but it's way down the road. But we're fortunate here.
Sheriff, I love
a lot of hard work.
I love that attitude. Nip it in the bud. In the bud, and that exactly sounds like what you're doing over there. Is there any a website or something that people can go to and see the upcoming events and so forth for the Bossier Parish sheriffs? How do we get in contact with y'all other than calling 911?
Well, yes, sir. We've got a web page up, just the Bossier Sheriff, and people can kind of check out things and go to different departments and things that they want to know about us, and some phone numbers if you need to contact someone. We're always up for a better idea or some improvement. But just being part of the thin blue line, as we like to call it, it's just a profession that the statewide SWAT officers had their conference in Shreveport the other day, and I talked to them for just a minute, and just to be around those folks. And, they love what they do. It's not for the money. It's not for anything else. They just want to make their community safer, and those folks are, go above and beyond, and they're just willing to do whatever it takes to be sure we're safe at night when we're at home watching television or listening to your radio show. So I tell you, I wouldn't do anything else. I love being a part of it.
God bless you so much, folks. And remember what the sheriff has just said. Remember what he just said. While you're sleeping, just to add to what he said, while you're sleeping in your bed at night, there are the guardians of the city who are out there seeing the underbelly of those things that they stop and many times keep from coming into your home and disturbing your peace. God bless and keep you, Sheriff. Thank you so much for being on. We'll talk to you again real soon. And thank you. Again, thank you so much.
Likewise, my friend.
I'm CL. That was Sheriff Julian Whittington of Bossier Parish Sheriff's Department, the High Sheriff of Bossier Parish. And, folks, let me tell you something. I think sometimes we just take it for granted. You should never do it. You should never take it for granted that they're just there, that you can just pick up the phone and call them and they're just there, which it really is the fact, but you take that for granted. And hey, keep in mind what I just said. You sleep peacefully in your bed tonight, there's a reason why you're sleeping peacefully in your bed tonight. Reason why your children are sleeping peacefully in their beds down the hall or upstairs or however it works out. It's because of that thin blue line that Sheriff Whittington was talking about. I'll be back.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show. I am C.L. Bryant. And wherever you are in the great nation of America, the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, we want to welcome you aboard on this great American journey, especially you folks in North Carolina, Southern Arkansas, and East Texas. Thank you for coming along with me. On the line with me now is someone who I've had great respect for a number of years. Now, the first time that he's been on the show, I've been with him in several different venues over the years in different places in the country. He is the host of Lion Chasers. His name, Lonnie Poindexter, Urban Family Talk radio host. Thank you so much for being there with me. How are you, man?
I'm doing just fine, CL, just fine. Thank you for allowing me to come on to your seminal radio show, sir.
Well, thank you for being there, and this won't be the last time that you're on with me. Lonnie, we were talking, you and I were chatting a little bit earlier, and there are other things that I feel are in the works that you would want to share with us. But before we go into that, please tell the folks how they can get a hold of your thoughts, get a hold of you, how they can listen to your show, the website. Tell us all about it.
Sure. Thank you so much. They can catch me Monday through Friday at urbanfamilytalk.com. That's urbanfamilytalk.com. The name of my show is Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. The show premise is based upon the intersection between faith and public policy. And it's named after a lion chaser, Benaiah in the Bible, who on a snowy day went down and went one-on-one with a lion and prevailed. So the show champions uncommon men and women of faith that are unafraid to speak truth to power.
And that is the type of courage that men and women of faith, men and women of America must have now. We're looking for people with steel in their spine and determination of our Creator in their hearts. Lonnie, there are other things that are morphing and evolving from your work and the work that you do. One of them is the Content of Character series. And folks, not my thing, but I'm partnering with them now, the Content of Character tour. But we're going to tour with this series, and Lonnie Poindexter is spearheading something. Tell us about what is in the works, Lonnie.
Well, the Content of Character series is basically looking to aggregate the movement of those who have our particular worldview, who share our paint job. To cut to the chase, it's looking to speak to and help those who have a conservative biblical worldview, who come from the African American community, that are looking for a place where they can connect as a portal, but also to be able to become educated and then become activated so that they can be able to move this needle that's taking place in our nation. I think you saw it last year in the elections that we had, if I remember correctly, 14% of black males crossed the aisle or otherwise voted for someone other than on the Democrat ticket. So what we're looking to do is educate the community on what's really taking place in our communities from a historical standpoint and also from what's taking place from a political standpoint today.
When you speak of the word worldview, now I guess someone could formulate what that means by knowing the definitions of either of those words. But when you speak of worldview, what should people understand about that word, worldview?
When we say worldview, or when I say specifically worldview, I'm speaking to biblical worldview, to be able to look and see and view things from God's perspective. And I think as Christians we're called to do that. That's why he gave us that wonderful book, the most important book in the history of the world, his holy word, the Bible. And when you use the Bible as the benchmark to judge all things, your vision is not clouded. You're able to be objective about what's taking place in terms of current events and as a map back to the faith-based community.
And when we look at, speaking of the black community and the worldview that you and I know, and full disclosure, folks, both Lonnie and I are, for the sake of conversation in Americas as we speak in colors, are both black Christians who happen to be conservative in our worldview and our approach to this American life. But, Lonnie, I have seen a schizophrenia, I guess that may be the word to say, in the black community, particularly among people who call themselves black Christians. They
Yes.
purport one thing but vote another. Why is that so schizophrenic?
You know, my white brothers and sisters ask me candidly the same thing. I think that we suffer from multi-personality disorder. We espouse one belief from the pulpit and in our community. When we march into the voting booth, as Pastor Mason Weaver would say, we don't take our Bibles with us. And so we're hoping to correct that.
Yeah. Yeah, Mason is, in fact, got to have Mason on the show. You know, he's in the movie Runaway Slave. And Mason points out something that you and I can talk about in detail. Is there a certain tribalism that we see in the black community that stems from the church? Now, I know we're walking into an area there that people don't like to talk about. But if, in fact, the pastor of the black church is co-opted, does that pretty much set the compass for the black community, in your estimation?
I think it does. I think that the term I like to use is there's a worship of ethnicity. And I understand that it ties from, if you go back through the 60s movement and us recognizing, I remember the Black Power movement. I remember James Brown's seminal tune is "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." But today what I see is a worship of ethnicity. And that's not scriptural. Our brethren, as I like to say on my show, are those who share my values and biblical worldview. They may or may not necessarily share my paint job.
Exactly. Man, that guy could not have said that better, and I don't think that could be said any better. So there is, with the Content of Character series, an effort to build a bridge to conversation, would you say?
That's exactly what it's designed to do, to start the camp conversation and then to be able to provide true history, you know, kind of dovetailing on what you do, CL, with the wonderful work you've been doing as a, you know, kind of a pioneer in this movement, so that they can connect the dots. And, you know, and we're building this value proposition around the life of Frederick Douglass and Dr. Martin Luther King. But if you look at Frederick Douglass, I think he's the iconic figure that speaks to understanding historically what truly took place in America. Today he's viewed as he was a slave and he was a victim. I see Frederick Douglass, yes, he was a slave, but he freed himself. And if you look at the wonderful life of Frederick Douglass, which he's one of my heroes and icons, the thing I like to throw up at people, especially those who might be more on the liberal side of things as a worldview, is that Frederick Douglass died a millionaire.
Yeah.
A lot of folks don't know that. Frederick Douglass also was married twice. His first wife died, who was black. His second wife was white.
Yeah. Yeah, and
How did he do that?
Muhammad Ali said of Frederick Douglass one time, he was a bad man. He said that. Muhammad actually said that. I want you to stay with me, Lonnie, through the break. I'd like to bring you back on the other side of the break. Let's talk a little bit more. I could talk to you for a long time, but I do want to talk to you a little bit more. Can you stay with me?
I sure can.
We're going to be back with the lion chaser himself, Lonnie Poindexter, Urban Family Talk Radio, 10 to 12 Central Daily. Let him talk a little bit more about that when we come back. I'm CL. Don't go anywhere. CL, back with you on this Wednesday here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier. I am your native son, and I want to thank everyone who might be listening to us by way of the free CL Bryant Show app throughout the nation, coast to coast. And on the line with me is the Lion Chaser, Lonnie Poindexter. You can hear him on Urban Family Talk, 10 to 12 Central daily. Lonnie, there is something that I really am glad to be partnering with you on, and it is called the Content of Character series. Is there a website? Is there a way that people can know more about it?
Yes, there is. They can go to contentofcharacterseries.com. That's contentofcharacterseries.com. That's the formal website, which was just launched recently. And they can also reach out to us at Facebook at Content of Character Series via Facebook. And it's a new ministry launch that is looking to continue on with the great legacy of the work that you've been doing, which is informing the community on what's happening in our nation, but from a biblical perspective. You know, I know about you, Pat, because I know you're a man of God pastor as well, is that oftentimes I would hear from the pastoral community, well, Brother Lonnie, you know, I'm just about the gospel. I'm not all in that politics and stuff. And I said, well, wait a minute, brother. I said, okay, I don't have a clerical collar, but I do hang out with pastors. I said, but my understanding of the Bible is all the heavyweights in the Bible were very political. I mean, Jesus Christ himself was political. It cost him his life.
Yes, sir.
His first cousin, John the Baptist, he was so political, it cost him his life, cost him his very head, because he told Herod's wife, hey, I told Herod, not lawful to sleep with your brother's wife. So people of faith have been speaking truth to power to the political elite and the religious elite of the day since Christ's times and prior. And we must do that in the faith-based community today, regardless of ethnicity, if we want the change that we seek. If we don't, the inmates end up running the asylum.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's no way that you can render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar, or the things that are God, the things that are God that are God's, unless you engage in the body politic. And I certainly do appreciate you expressing that, Lonnie, because so many people use that. So many pastors, unfortunately, do use exactly what you said as a reason not to get engaged. So then, now let's recap. The goal of Content of Character series is to introduce America to maybe the untold stories of heroes, particularly black heroes in history. Is that a part of it?
Yes, it is, sir. And if you go to the website, you'll see prominently displayed on the front page some of the iconic figures, heroes of the faith, as we call them, going all the way back to the founding of this nation, including Booker T. Washington, Frederick Douglass, as I mentioned prior, Harriet Tubman, and Jefferson Long, a long established list of heavyweights. And because what I found, and I know you did as well, is that many times those from the African-American community, and I'm just using that term because that's what I call us black folk.
That's me too.
Be politically correct in that regard.
Me too.
That they understand that there have been iconic figures going all the way back to the founding of this nation who spoke truth to power, who stood up, who participated in public policy, and many times they were clergy. Frederick Douglass was an ordained minister.
Yeah.
A lot of folks don't know that.
Yep.
And let me throw this out there for your listeners. I'm sure you keep them very learned, but all these folks were Republican.
Yeah. They're one of them. And one of our good buddies, Lonnie, who is speaking with us today, K. Carl Smith, has a particular mission in making sure that that is said. And on with us, too, are people like our good friend, Pastor Stephen Broughton, over there in Dallas, Texas. And, folks, there's a bevy. There's an army rising up, Lonnie, I do believe, to break some chains off of the mindset that has been so ingrained entrenched even in urban America. Man, I want to thank you for coming on with me. Give your website. Give us again how, if people want to have you come speak to them, if they want to tune into your show, give us how can we do that one more time.
Sure, they can reach me at urbanfamilytalk.com, and that's weekdays and we broadcast at 10 a.m. Central to 12 noon. UrbanFamilyTalk.com. The name of the show is Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. And we're part of American Family Association, one of the largest Christian radio ministry networks in the nation. And let me just mention, folks, that CL is also included in the Content of Character series as one of the iconic figures that is standing up and speaking truth. And my final comment before you let me go is I just want to be like you when I grow up, brother. God bless you.
Bless your heart. God bless you and keep you, my dear brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
That's Lonnie Poindexter, Urban Family Talk Radio, 10 to 12 p.m. Hey, folks, it's a great show. Tune it in. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show, and we have a lot to talk about. Breaking news. Yes, a special counsel has been appointed now, and I, for one, think that that's good. That's good because I am thinking that he's not going to find anything that hasn't already been found. And you know what that is? Nothing. The one thing that has not been leaked out, the one thing that has not been leaked out in this whole debacle is evidence that the President of the United States did anything wrong. Oh, you've had leaks about, a memo pad or note that Comey, former FBI director, says he has. Nobody's seen that, I don't think, yet. It's going to be produced. I'm sure he produced it a couple of nights ago when he leaked it. And, of course, it was leaked out of an Oval Office meeting with a Russian ambassador, that the president somehow gave to the Russians. Even Vladimir Putin is chiming in on this, that he hadn't heard about it, although you can't believe anything that Vladimir Putin says. But evidently he has a sense of humor because he said that maybe he could help the president in his time of trouble and need. Yeah, thanks a lot, but we'll make out. We'll make do without the help of Vladimir Putin. But even that leaked out. But the one thing that is not leaked out over an 8-month period of time is any evidence that the President of the United States, who is under siege by the progressive liberal media, unprecedented assault. He's under siege by them. The one thing that is not leaked out, and you know it would be all over everywhere, is any evidence that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, has done anything unlawful or wrong. We'll be back more to talk more about it when I come back. See y'all. Back with you on this Wednesday here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex. And formerly on with us was Lonnie Poindexter. I really like Lonnie a lot. And let me tell you, there are some things that are coming about down the pike here in America that are designed to heal the fevered brow of our nation as it becomes even more fevered. I was mentioning Vladimir Putin a little bit ago, and I'm going to close out the show with something that he said that is, it's worth remembering. Outsider looking in, yeah, coming from Vladimir Putin, yeah, but what he said about us is worth remembering. I'll talk to you about it when we on the home stretch, when we're about to close the show out here in just a little bit. Coming up in the show, my next guest is going to share with us, Representative Valerie Hodges is going to share with us what she has been doing. And in fact, the bill has actually passed, and I'm going to let her tell you all about that when we return in the next segment. But folks, when you look at what's going on, and a lot of us are wondering just what is going on in America right now. What is going on? See, what's going on? I liken it unto this. You all know that nobody, including some of the Republicans, didn't want this president to be president. John McCain was one of those. We don't keep that in mind. John McCain is calling what's going on Watergate style, type thing. No, it's not. No, it's not. John, please go sit down somewhere. I mean, please, just stop it. No, it is not. He even likened it unto Iran-Contra. No, it's not. Senator McCain, please, just go sit down somewhere and stop it. You could have been president if you'd have played your hand right, and maybe that would have been a mistake too. So now just stop it with all of the innuendos and all of that toward what's going on with the president, because one of the 11th commandment of Ronald Reagan, the patron saint of the party, is thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican. But that certainly is not the courtesy that is being afforded or offered to this American president, who is a Republican. But this is what's going on. Let me tell you what's going on. I used to box many, many years ago, my younger years, teen years, up to about 19 years of age, 18, 19 years of age. And I quit, let it go, didn't really want to pursue it. And the Lord hadn't saved me from myself at that point in time. And quite frankly, I didn't want to train like I was training. I liked the nightlife, a little bit too much. So I could have been a pretty good boxer, I guess. I enjoyed boxing, but I just didn't want to put in what it took to be really good. But this is what I found out in boxing, and I see it happening. It's happening to this president. There are people who you climb into the ring with that know you have a reputation of being pretty good, or maybe handling yourself okay, and maybe even if they slip up, you'll knock them out. Okay? And if they have that mindset about that person, that boxer in the ring with them, they're going to do one of two things. They're going to either approach you very carefully, or they're going to come out trying to jump all over you and hurt you before you hurt them. The latter is being used against this president. He is known as a knockout artist. Ask Ted Cruz, ask Jeb Bush, ask Marco Rubio, ask Rand Paul, all formidable opponents. Ask Hillary Clinton, all of them formidable opponents. He has a rep. He has a reputation of being a knockout artist. So instead of just dancing around him, staying out of reach, they're actually coming out in the first few rounds And we are truly in the early rounds of this battle, this fight. And they are doing everything they can to pummel him. They are trying to deliver the body blows. They are trying to deliver whatever jabs they can deliver. But most important, they are throwing haymakers. They are throwing absolute haymakers at him, trying to get him out of the game. They are, even before they have made contact with him, saying that we should get a technical knockout by impeaching him. For what? Huh? He's not even punch drunk. In fact, if I know anything about the character of this president, I've met him a few times now. If I know anything about the character of this president, he is roping a dope like you have never seen. He is roping a dope. He is letting them punch themselves out. And the appointment of this special counsel, after this thing plays out, now where do you go? Now you got you cornered. Now Trump is going to put them on the ropes. And all of us know that he can throw a punch. He's going to pummel them once they have punched themselves out. The one thing that he has to pay close attention to, though, are the people in his own corner. That's what he has to pay attention to. The people in his own corner. Paul Ryan, even though he stood up today, he's been known to turn. John McCain, you can't trust him. Don't take any water that he gives you. Don't do it. And be sure, if you happen to get a cut over the eye, that you pay close attention to that cut man. That's my advice to the president. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Don't you go anywhere with Valerie Hodges. CL back with you on this Wednesday here in the jeweled cities of the Arthur, Shreveport, and Bossier. And we are being heard throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, and of course throughout the Gulf Coast regions of the United States. I want to thank you folks in North Carolina as well as Southern Arkansas and East Texas for coming along with us. Now, all of us have heard the words sanctuary cities. You'd have to be living as a pygmy, I guess, in New Guinea if you have not heard the words as an American. Today, there is a House bill that was voted on. House Bill 676 was voted on. You've heard my good friend AG Jeff Landry, Attorney General Jeff Landry, here on the show actually talking about it. Joining us now is someone who actually cast a vote, and her name is State Representative Valerie Hodges. Valerie, welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show. How are you?
Well, thank you, Seal. I'm great. How are you?
Doing fantastically well, and we're all going to be doing much better once you tell us what happened today with House Bill 676. Tell us about it.
Well, what it does, it's a bill that will prohibit the creation of formal sanctuary city policies. And, we all know that there are sanctuary cities all over the United States, and it's debatable whether there's one here in Louisiana, but we've gotten a lot of pushback. Last week we brought the bill, and I had a civil fine in it, and then they ruled that it needed 70 votes, which was kind of a shock to everybody. So I took the civil fine out and the penalty out and added in that a municipality or state agency that creates a sanctuary city policy would not be eligible for appropriations or state grant funding. Because this, United States is, I believe it is the greatest country in the entire world, and it's about the rule of law. And the term, you notice they always say so-called sanctuary city policy, but if you've got a written policy that's saying that you cannot cooperate with law enforcement, that's a really bad policy. It's a contradiction to law. That's already federal law. And it poses a national security threat.
So our common guy, Jill and Jane, or Jack and Jane, CL and Jane, my wife. So we understand, if in fact any city in our state wants to declare itself a sanctuary city, you are saying to us that the legislature in our state has voted to take away their funding or keep their funding away from it. Is that what you're telling us?
That's right.
That's good.
Because they need to be in compliance with federal law. And there's got to be some kind of mechanism to make them comply, because a lot of cities don't want to comply with that. They want to protect criminals from being deported. And I just don't think that's right. So what we did, we actually, it's my bill, and we put some teeth in it to say either you're going to comply or you're going to lose your state funding.
I like it.
Grant funding.
Valerie, I like it. And I got to tell you something. Bless you for having the backbone to do it. How did you get a little? Did you have to pull teeth, or how? This had to be a real arduous job. I mean, tell us about the struggle to do this, or was there a struggle? Yes,
it was definitely a struggle, especially last week. I spent almost an hour on the floor debating it, being implied that I'm a racist and everything. And I just pushed back and said, look, I'm not a racist. I lived in Mexico for 18 years. And I was actually, went down there, lived down there with my children. And this is not about that. I love all people.
Yeah.
But we have got to comply with the law, because just last week here in Baton Rouge, 3 MS-13 people, gang members, were arrested here in Baton Rouge. I went through a whole litany in the last year of these heinous crimes that have been committed by people who are here illegally.
Right.
And so, the question from one of the representatives said, so you only think illegal aliens commit these crimes? Well, that's asinine to say that. No, of course I don't think that.
Of course
But
not.
the fact that they shouldn't be here in the first place because they're illegal and they're committing crimes makes it even more heinous, in my opinion, to when you have 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds being raped, and you have people being murdered by people who are here illegally. They need to be deported. And that's all I'm saying. And, of course, they all want to paint me as a racist. And
Valerie,
not
you're
loving
no.
people.
Let me tell you, that, folks. She's no racist. Let me tell you something, folks. We have the plain and simple truth of this is this: we have enough problems of our own stemming from our American citizens, red, yellow, black, and white, whoever they are. We have enough problems of our own stemming from our own citizens than to have to deal with the problems that inherently come with folks who are here illegally. Valerie, you point out something that Jane and I, we lived in Southern California for a number of years. We lived in in Florida for a number of years. The Latino presence there is incredible. We have many friends who are of Latino persuasion, who are Americans and who are here legally. There is no question that we are people who are not prejudiced against Latin people. But even the Latino people who are here legally don't want illegals in their community. They really do not. And
well,
that's
especially the ones committing crimes.
Exactly.
When you have committed a crime, you have forfeited your rights, and that you are under lawful detention. And if you don't have any other way to prove, and that's all my bill does, is untie the hands of law enforcement to say you can ask their immigration status. And they just went crazy last week saying we just think you're trying to that target people, racial profiling. No, it's not, because of asking someone their immigration status if they don't have papers, if they can't prove who they are, if they can't speak the language. I don't think that's racial profiling just to ask them their immigration status if they've committed a crime. And I tailored it very specific to address those concerns. And so today when I brought it back, I took out that civil fine that they had ruled that it needed 70 votes, and we just put the penalty in there about if a court rules that they are in violation of the sanctuary policy, then their appropriations funding would stop until they come into a compliance.
Valerie, I want you to stay with me through the break. I want to give you a silver bullet for what you have just described, to people always jumping on that bandwagon about profiling and so forth. I'm going to talk to you about it. I use this wherever I go when I speak across the country.
Okay.
I want to share it with you when I return. I'm on with State Representative Valerie Hodges, who today, her bill, House Bill 676, it passed. It champions keeping those types of cities, sanctuary cities, out of our state. Good job, Valerie Hodges. I'm going to be back with her when I return. CL, back with you on a Wednesday. That's Copperhead Road by a musician, fellow musician, Steve Earle. And in Draining the Swamp, you got those copperheads coming out. Those cottonmouths, they're everywhere. Valerie Hodges is doing her part in draining that swamp and keeping us here in the great state of Louisiana, my home state that I love, keeping us safe from those who would invade our space. Valerie has just had a bill to pass, House Bill 676. Was also championed by our good friend Jeff Landry, Attorney General Jeff Landry. And Valerie, you were mentioning that one of the things and some of the things that you run into as you champion this bill, and it won't stop, but at least I can give you this bit of ammo for the next time it is said to you. The profiling aspect of this. Valerie, you and I, we grew up perhaps in a different time than these kids are growing up in today, but there's something that every parent does with their children, and that is we teach them to profile. And I'll give you an example of it. Don't play with that kid. Stay away from that family. Don't you go over on that side of town. And I don't want anyone in my home when I'm not here. We are taught to profile, and it's a survival. It's a mechanism that we're given by any loving parent because they want you to be aware of who it is you're taking on into your environment. And it is something that all of us are taught to do, but progressive liberals have made that a bad thing when it comes to immigration. And I want to again join with those who applaud you, and I want people to understand that they should applaud you because you have made a great effort to protect our homeland and certainly protect our state of Louisiana. I want to thank you. I'm going to give you the last word.
Well, thank you, CL, for bringing this to the forefront. One of the things that I think, just like last year, are you aware that after my bill failed in the Senate last year, that there was an illegal, the sheriff of Jefferson Parish came and fought hard, and so they killed it. And then 2 months later, there was a man in Jefferson Parish, his name was Amaya Rodriguez, was able to remain in the country illegally after he had 5 violations for driving without a driver's license and had been arrested for second-degree battery and domestic abuse. Back in 2011, he hit and killed a fire chief and 2 firemen. Wow. In Jefferson Parish.
Wow.
And so had he been deported like he should have been, and had his law enforcement been able to cooperate with ICE, there was a detainer, then these 3 families would not have been devastated. And so that's why I think this is so important. And the other thing that we didn't talk about was security.
Yeah.
The 9/11 Commission itself identified immigration fraud as the key method that the majority of terrorists are entering into the United States. And so if we have a sanctuary city where the police can't even ask their immigration status or ask for their papers, I mean, it really, truly is endangering our country. And like somebody, famous, I once said that it's time we put America and Americans first.
Absolutely.
So that's what this bill is doing.
Absolutely. And continue, Valerie, to fight the good fight. How do people get in touch with you if, in fact, they want to talk to you or get you up to say something to them? How do they get in touch with you?
Well, you can call. My office number is 225-791-2199. And you can look me up at Valerie Hodges, State Representative, on my Facebook page.
God bless and keep you. And I know that you're going to fight the good fight because you are Valerie Hodges, Louisiana State Representative. Thank you for being with me. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. On with me just a moment ago was Valerie Hodges, who has scored a victory, folks. House Bill 676, which does, whether you want to give it its props or not, it does protect us from the added burden of those who are not citizens of this country being housed in cities that want to give them sanctuary. It protects you against at least being mowed down, hurt, criminalized by those who are not citizens of the country. You may say, well, gee whiz, we can get vandalized and hurt by people who are citizens. That's the point. We have enough problem with our own without having to import it illegally into the country. That is the point. Okay, so you are feeding your family. And you're struggling to do that. So you are providing bedding and a room for your family to sleep. You do have your children to worry about without having to feed those who they pick up on the street and sneak into your house, who eat up your food, and who may break your television. You have enough problems of your own without taking on the added burden. That is all that's being said about this, and that is we have enough problems as American citizens of our own. It's not that we're not compassionate. We're the most compassionate. It's not that we're racist against Latin people. No, we don't want anybody in this country who is here illegally to be sanctioned anywhere. No. It's just that the most visible illegals in this country are those who come from south of the border. They're the most visible. They're the most notable. They're the most noticed. Yeah, I'm sure there are others here from other places. If we find them, kick them out too. I'm CL, back on the home stretch.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
All right, we're on the home stretch on this Wednesday of the C.L. Bryant Show. And folks, if you really want to know what it's all about, I'm going to tell you what it's all about. I'm going to tell you what it's all about, and it's contained in this next clip that we're about to play for you. But I want to set this up. This is comedian Wanda Sykes. You may have seen this clip, but I'm going to decipher it for you. And the CL, my CL way, I'm going to decipher this for you. Because really, when you look at the hoopla that's going on throughout the land, being steered up by mostly the Democrats and John McCain, the thing that's being steered up mostly by Democrats and John McCain is directly related to something that even my pastor has talked about, and that is unfulfilled expectations. And it's creating, oh yeah, these people are offended. They are offended that somehow they could possibly lose this presidential election after the country had gone through 8 years of the first black president. How is it possible that we were not able to put Hillary Clinton in the White House? There must be a reason for it. Wanda Sykes puts it this way. Play it, Jay.
When we first started the show today, we were talking about the new Health Care Act and the fact that the Republican Congress has passed this ridiculous thing, which will never get passed. I don't think it's going to get passed in the Senate.
Not the Senate,
no. Because they're the adults in the room, and there's Democrats involved too. So what do you think about it?
It's awful. It's awful, and we all know what it is. They're just trying to erase anything that President Obama did. I bet you. They want to act like that man never existed, like it never I bet you Mitch McConnell is on the phone with David Copperfield right now. What else you got?
The magician.
I want to make him disappear. How can we make him disappear?
Why? Do you think that is?
It's racism.
Yeah.
That's it. They hate having
Congress?
a black president, and they want to get rid of it. That's what it is.
That's what this is all about. That, my friends, is what this is all about. The lunacy of presuming or thinking that the movements and activity of the Republican Party, Conservative Party, the President of the United States, is trying to erase the achievements of a black man. That is what this is about. That is at least what they want to say it's about. That's the hammer that they want to use to drive the narrative and inflame the emotions that cause the students on Berkeley's campus and at other campuses like that one of Bethune-Cookman, where the students who are graduating and you have Betsy DeVos, the Secretary of Education, speaking there. They stand up and they turn their back on her. That's what they want to make this about. And there's a reason why they want to do that, in order to control, still emotionally control the voting bloc. They don't bit more care. They know themselves that Obamacare is that the Affordable Health Care Act is a sham. And this thing actually that Paul Ryan came up with was sham even more, sham 2.0. But now finally you may have something for the American people that does protect those who are suffering with a pre-existing illness. And folks, don't be misled. They have taken special pains to make sure that those who suffer with pre-existing illnesses are covered in this the American Health Care Act, AHCA, the American Health Care Act, the new bill. Call it Trump Care, whatever you want to call it. But I still tell you that it is not constitutional for a government to be that involved in medical care. Whether it's Obamacare, call it Trump care. It's not constitutional. It's not. Nor should they be involved that much in education. There's nowhere in the Constitution saying the government should educate your children. You've let them do that, and now you're letting them handle your medical care. Both of those big hands in your personal business. Yeah, educating your child is personal. Your health care is just as personal, more so perhaps. And we are allowing, through legislation, them to dabble in both of those. Vladimir Putin has something to say about us that I want to share with you, but I had to share with you what Miss Sykes, alleged comedian, had to say. Wanda Sykes had to say. It's all about racism. It's about trying to make the first black president disappear. Well, if it's that easy just to replace the Health Care Act to make him disappear, question has to be, was he really ever there? I'm CL. Be right back. Richard Milhouse Nixon, James Earl Carter, Ronald Wilson Reagan, George Herbert Walker Bush, William Jefferson Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Hussein Obama, and now Donald James Trump. Their names will indelibly be a part of American history. Their names can never be erased from the American lexicon or history. So Wanda Sykes, in her rant about trying to erase the first black president by repealing his signature bill is insane. Barack Obama, above all of the names that I named, from Nixon to Trump, above all, Barack will always be there. He'll always be there, along with the rest of them. Now, there is something that Vladimir Putin said, displayed a little bit of humor early on today by saying that he'd be very happy to help the president, our President Trump now, with providing the transcripts that they have from the meeting that the Russian ambassador had with the president. Putin said he'd be happy to provide those for the president if it would help him out, displaying a little sense of humor, knowing that was totally tongue-in-cheek as the way he was saying that. Because he's the last person that Trump needs throwing in the ring with him right now. But he went on to say, Vladimir Putin went on to say something in a serious tone. And you need to take heed to what he said, because it does cause us pause to evaluate where we are, who we are as Americans. He said this of Americans. He said that from his vantage point, America is developing a political schizophrenia. And Americans are either stupid or a dangerous and corrupt people. I'll say it again. I'll read it again for you. Vladimir Putin, after he showed a humorous side to himself by offering to provide America with the Russian transcripts from that meeting that took place that is in such question from the Oval Office, he said something on a very serious note. He said, from his vantage point, America is developing political schizophrenia. And Americans, you and me, are either stupid or a dangerous and corrupt people. This from Vlad the Impaler Putin. That's what he said about us. Now, the reason we should pay attention to it is because there is some truth, unfortunately, to be gleaned from the statement made about us by the Russian, and he is a Soviet, by the Soviet strongman. Oh, he's the old KGB head. He's a Soviet. He wants to reclaim that. But he said something about us that should cause us to examine ourselves. Because it does appear that we are suffering, if we're honest with ourselves, from a certain form of schizophrenia. Is it political? Is it racial? What's going on with us as Americans? We have an American president that is under siege from so many of the American people, having to be defended by the other half of the American people. It does appear that America is suffering from a me, myself, and Irene type of syndrome, which does lead, if it's not cured, to Americans being either stupid because we can't see what we're doing to ourselves or we're becoming dangerous and corrupt. Now, of course, he was saying that as the president of the Soviet Union, or Russia, as in USSR. But even though, you don't want to trust anything that Putin says about anything, but this was an observation that he was making. And the one that he would like to believe about his observation is that we're stupid. And if we're not stupid, which I don't believe he truly thinks we are, I think the message that he's truly sending to the rest of the world, like Iran, China, Little Kim in North Korea, and of course his people, Syria, the message that he truly wants to send is that we're dangerous and corrupt. Not him, us. That's the message he wants to send. I'll be back to close it out.
If you had not have fallen, then I would not have found you. Angel flying too close to the ground.
Bradley Edward Manning. Bradley Edward Manning was released from prison today, having had his sentence commuted by President Barack Obama, Hussein Obama. As he was leaving office, he commuted the sentence of someone who was charged of espionage, stealing American secrets. Yeah, Vlad Putin, you're right, we're schizophrenic. Bradley Edward Manning may fit that bill, and what you may or may not want to know about Bradley Edward Manning is that you're going to pay for his reassignment as far as his organs, his male organs are concerned. You're going to pay for that. Yeah, you're going to pay for it. Because now he's calling himself Chelsea Manning. And Bradley Edward Manning, I have to tell you this, man. I don't know if you listen to the show or not. But Bradley Edward Manning, you, sir, are the ugliest woman I have ever seen. And it bothers me that we're going to pay for you wanting to become or charade as something you could never be. The chromosomes will always be the same. Bradley Edward Manning, they'll always be the same. But in considering Bradley Edward Manning, who is now calling himself Chelsea Manning, and is going to do a shoot for Vogue, coming up, I think it's next month. I am reminded of what Vlad the Impaler Putin said. Americans are suffering from political schizophrenia. And it may actually go further than that. Well, we must remain vigilant, because what's at stake, it is our liberty. Liberty. The right to exercise your liberty causes you to be responsible for your freedom. Don't forget that, Americans. Well, I want to thank God for bringing us to the close of yet another day, and I want to thank Him for our men and women in uniform who defend our right to speak our minds around the globe. And I want to ask you again to join us tomorrow, if the good Lord wills. I'm CL, and may God bless and keep you all.
And the bond will never be torn.